Welcome back to Left Anchor. I'm Alexi the Greek.
And I'm Ryan Cooper. Little tired, but we're coming back. We're back in the posting the pod bunker.
That's right. We will not be defeated. Not by a head cold, not by newborn baby obstacles, standard issue.
You may hear a crying baby in the background on occasion, but...
and it won't be me. It'll be Ryan's child.
Yeah. We're pretty sure, at least. There's there could be other babies in the,
You never know.
Maybe ghosts or something. But anyway, yeah, so we're talking some news today. I thought we'd start off the discussion with Israel and Gaza. That's been the kind of biggest topic of conversation for months now. And I think the big news is that South Africa has launched this lawsuit, I guess you'd call it, in the International Court of Justice. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And, basically accusing them of genocide. And the court ruled basically in favor. They did not explicitly call for a ceasefire, but, I think that's like more technical reasons than anything else. But they did say that, that the case was plausible. And, frankly, it's not hard to see why.
Right. Yeah. We're all seeing it and, live basically. And there's actually early on, I thought it would be, Israel is assassinating so many journalists that I thought it would be a problem to have a lot of, documentation. And who knows how many things are not being documented for that reason. But there's been plenty. I can't keep up with it, frankly, that the atrocities are being so well documented by, people themselves that are suffering and by journalists, it's funny before this ruling. And to be clear, this was a preliminary ruling because the request, from South Africa at this point, because as we know, or as you may or may not know, genocide hearings take years to prosecute and to end up, resolving. Right.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of silly if there was nothing to be done in the meantime, if there was clearly a genocide underway. And so this is, the initial request from South Africa was basically what you'd think of as an injunction. Basically, while we figure out the substance of the trial, stop the genocide that's going on, right? And we don't have to have a definitive judgment as to whether genocide is happening. If it's plausible that it's happening and there's evidence that would make it incumbent upon Israel to basically stop doing the things that make it plausible that they're committing genocide. That was the second question after the jurisdictional question. And the court found that it had jurisdiction 16-1. Uganda is a special case with a kind of wacko judge, and there's some weird stuff with Uganda and the ICJ. But even the ad hoc judge, who was the kind of Supreme Chief Justice of Israel's Supreme Court, who was sent by Netanyahu to be on this panel of judges, even he agreed with the jurisdictional question and several other of South Africa's petitions. And the big one is don't do the things that count as genocide, right? Which includes stop killing Palestinians, because the other thing they did besides say they have jurisdiction is that Palestinians count as a group under genocide, meaning that they're a group of people, not just in Gaza, but Palestinians as such. And the evidence is plausible that you are trying to eliminate them. And so all the different subparts of genocide, which is killing Palestinians, trying to make it impossible for them to reproduce or have conditions of life, all the different parts that, if you look, there's evidence for all of them basically being met in what Israel's been doing. Don't do any of those things. And so even if the court doesn't say ceasefire, which many have argued doesn't make sense in this context because it's not a war between states. And Hamas is not a party to this suit at all. It's like Israel stop massacring Palestinians. Ceasefire doesn't really make sense as a term in this context, right?
Yeah.
So the things that they say Israel has to stop doing, and also anyone that is responsible for facilitating these things, which includes the U.S. and others, killing Palestinians would be a violation of that, and they have to submit a report showing the steps they've taken to not do these things and to show that they're not in violation. And since the ruling just days ago, they've killed hundreds, and injured thousands and already. So, yeah,
just disregarding the real. I mean, I think the both the response from the government and the plausibility of the case, I think, is illustrated in that just a couple of days ago, a bunch of Israeli ministers attended this rally that was called Resettle Gaza.
Yeah, like a dozen of them, right?
Yeah. And of course the big ones are the finance minister Bezalel Smotrich and the national security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. Both, I think it's fair to call them fascists, and they're been saying for the entire conflict openly genocidal things. And these aren't fringe. I mean, they're fringe parties in the sense that they did not get that many votes in the last election, but they hold, these are important ministers, important portfolios, the finance ministry and the national security ministry. And they're just reveling in it. They're saying, this is part of a genocide. One of the aspects of it to kick people out of a place and then take it for yourself, resettle it, which I think it's been their explicit aim, from the words coming out of their own mouth without any hedging whatsoever.
And that we've seen videos of soldiers confirming as they celebrate the death and destruction that they're, part of. It's kind of like miraculous how much evidence there is because there's so little shame on the part of the leaders and the soldiers involved that it just couldn't be more explicit what's going on. And yet in response, a very well-timed defunding of the biggest and maybe only real humanitarian aid organization under, sudden accusations based on evidence that's long since been held, that like 12, and now it's fewer than that, I think 12 of the workers at this organization were, celebrating Hamas's attack on October the 7th. And this was the pretext for the U.S. and a number of other countries to withdraw the aid, which essentially defunds to a large degree the capacity of this aid organization to do something about the people starving and suffering because of the U.S. bombs. And this was also cynically deployed. The timing of it was deployed to basically bump the ICJ's ruling on genocide, out of the news and have this be, of course, the New York Times and others took the cue and bumped that big story. And instead, Hamas is once again the story instead, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This, I assume you're talking about the UNRWA, I don't know, United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East.
Right. So
and
powerful.
Yeah, so 12. I mean, so this is a huge organization in Gaza because like the entire place subsists on aid.
It's blockaded, yeah.
Yeah, and so just for people to live, and yeah, so there are tens of thousands of people that work for it, and Israel has alleged that 12 of them may have been involved in the.
I think it's been revised down to like 6 now.
Yeah, right. And you know, like I would be astonished if there weren't any, you know, and I would say this in itself, this again is like perpetuating the genocide. Like Gaza is in a famine now. People are starving to death, and Israel won't let aid through. And this is part of that strategy to choke the life from the people. With these, you know, I mean, whether they're true or not, like who gives a shit? Like the important thing is like people don't have enough to eat. And, you know, if, you know, it's so important to you that every single member of the, aid organization that feeds the population of Gaza is not involved with the government of Gaza, well, then you have an obligation to replace that capacity. And they're doing the opposite. They're not letting, you know, aid trucks through from other outside organizations or making it really, really difficult to get through.
And they're shooting civilians as they try to get fed.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. And
it's you almost couldn't imagine more ways to be terrible. Honestly, like it's like the imagination is impressive of how to commit atrocities.
That's the end of the preview, folks. As usual, we like to mention that this podcast is sponsored by the American Prospect magazine. So if you want to listen to the whole thing, you could subscribe at $5 a month. If you want that plus a free subscription to the website, plus the opportunity for a steeply discounted print subscription, you can do that if you so wish at $10 a month. And otherwise, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.